stood at the observation window of the transport shuttle, watching as Station Meridian grew larger against the black canvas of space. The station was massive, a wheel of metal and light spinning slowly in the void. Dozens of ships were docked at various ports, each one different from the last. Some looked like crystals, others seemed to be made of living tissue, had never seen anything like it. "First time at a coalition station?" asked the pilot, a woman with hair and kind eyes. "Yes," said. He tried to keep his voice steady. "First time meeting aliens too." The pilot laughed. "Don't worry, they're more scared of you than you are of them, probably." Wasn't sure if that was supposed to be comforting. He touched the bag at his side. Inside was a week's worth of clothes and his food from home. His mother had packed it herself, insisting that station food would be terrible. She had filled containers with kimchi, dried squid, homemade, and even some for emergencies. "You need real food," she had said, "not that fake space paste." The shuttle docked with a soft thump, gathered his belongings and stepped into the station. The first thing he noticed was the air. It was perfectly neutral, like breathing nothing at all. No smell, no taste, just clean emptiness. The second thing he noticed was the aliens. A creature that looked like a giant insect stood near the entrance. Its body was covered in shiny black plates, and it had 6 legs and 4 arms. 2 large compound eyes turned to look at. He froze. "Welcome to Station Meridian," the creature said. Its voice came from a translator box hanging around its neck. "Please proceed to customs and processing." Nodded and walked past, trying not to stare. The station corridor was wide and bright. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved through it. Some walked, some floated. One seemed to roll, kept his eyes forward and followed the signs to customs. The customs area was organized chaos. Different species stood in different lines, each one leading to a booth designed for their particular biology. Found the line marked Carbon-Based Bipeds Type 7 and waited. The alien in front of him looked like a large frog with 4 arms. Its skin changed colors as it talked to the customs officer. When it was turn, he stepped up to the booth. The officer was human, which was a relief. She smiled at him. "Name and purpose?" she asked. "Trade representative. I'm here for the week-long negotiation sessions." She scanned his identification chip. "First time here?" "Yes." "Okay, listen carefully. Station Meridian operates on strict environmental protocols. Every species has different needs. We keep the common areas neutral, but that means no strong smells, no loud noises, and definitely no unregistered biological materials. Your quarters are in the human section. You can do whatever you want there. In common areas, follow the rules. Got it?" Nodded. "Got it." She stamped his documents and waved him through. "Good luck. The aliens are weird, but they're mostly harmless. Oh, and don't eat in the common areas unless it's approved station food. Some species are really sensitive to smells." "Understood," said. His quarters were small but comfortable. A bed, a desk, a small kitchen area, and a bathroom. Everything was designed for humans. He unpacked his clothes and put his food containers in the cooling unit. Then he sat on the bed and took a deep breath. He was really here, on an alien space station, about to negotiate trade agreements with species he had only seen in videos. The next morning, reported to the diplomatic wing. Ambassador Park was waiting for him, was a tall man in his 50s with sharp eyes and a calm presence. He had been working with aliens for 10 years. "Good to see you," said, shaking his hand. "Ready for your first day?" "As ready as I'll ever be." Led him through a series of corridors to a large conference room. "Remember, be polite, speak clearly, and don't make any sudden movements. Some of these species startle easily. We're here to discuss mining rights in the sector. Simple stuff. Just follow my lead." The conference room was enormous. A circular table filled the center, with different types of chairs and platforms around it. Aliens were already arriving. Recognized the insect creature from the customs area. There was also the frog-like being with 4 arms, several small furry creatures that looked like rabbits, and something that appeared to be made of living crystal. "That's," whispered, pointing to the insect. "Sensitive to chemicals, don't wear cologne around them. The 4-armed one is ambassador, very formal. The small ones are pip traders, harmless but nervous. And the crystal being is a shard delegate. They communicate through vibrations." Took his seat next to. The meeting began. It was surprisingly boring. The translator devices turned everyone's speech into flat, emotionless voices. They discussed percentages and rights and regulations, took notes and tried to look professional. During a break, he walked around the station. The common areas were beautiful. Large windows showed views of space. Gardens grew under artificial lights. Water features bubbled and flowed, but everything was carefully controlled. The temperature never changed. The air never moved. Even the light was constant. He passed a dining area and saw aliens eating. Most of them consumed things that didn't look like food at all. Was drinking a thick green liquid from a tube. Was absorbing small cubes through their skin. The pip creatures were nibbling on what looked like colored sand. Stomach rumbled. He had eaten breakfast in his quarters, but he was already hungry again. He thought about the food his mother had packed. Real food. Food with taste and smell and life. The first 2 days passed smoothly. Learned to recognize different species. He learned which ones could speak directly and which ones needed translators. He learned that liked to discuss philosophy during breaks, and that had a strange sense of humor that didn't always translate well. On the third day, everything changed. The morning session ran long. When lunch break finally arrived, was starving. The other delegates dispersed to their respective areas, had a meeting with station administrators, found himself alone in the shared diplomatic commons, a comfortable room with soft seating and workstations. He sat down at a table and pulled out his lunch container. It was a plastic box with a tight seal, the kind his mother had used his whole life. Inside was kimchi, still red and glistening. A smaller container held the fermented soybean stew that was his favorite, and wrapped in paper was dried squid, chewy and salty. Looked around. A few aliens were in the room, working at their stations or talking quietly. No one was paying attention to him. He was so hungry, and the food was right there. He unsealed the container. The smell hit the air like a bomb. The moment the seal broke, knew something was wrong. The familiar smell of fermented cabbage and spices filled his nose, comforting and normal. But the reaction around him was anything but normal. Was the first to respond. The insect being had been working quietly at a nearby station. Their antennae, which had been waving gently in the air, suddenly snapped back against their head. Their compound eyes went from a soft green to a bright, alarming red. A sound came from their translator box, high-pitched and panicked. "Chemical attack, poison cloud detected, evacuate." Stumbled backward, their 6 legs tangling. They crashed into a chair and fell. Jumped to his feet, the container still in his hands. "Wait, what? No, this is just..." But wasn't listening. They scrambled toward the door, moving faster than thought possible. Their translator kept screaming warnings. Ambassador had been reviewing documents at another table. The 4-armed frog-like being's skin flashed from green to bright orange to deep purple. Their large eyes bulged. Thick mucus began oozing from their skin, covering them in a protective layer. They made a deep croaking sound that the translator turned into words. "Biological weapon deployment. Active decomposition agent. This is a violation of coalition law." "No, wait," said. He looked down at his lunch. The kimchi looked back at him, innocent and red. "This is just food." The shard delegate, the crystalline being, had been standing near the window. When the smell reached them, their entire body began vibrating. The sound was horrible, like nails on glass. Their translator couldn't keep up with the rapid vibrations. Then, with a sound like breaking glass, A piece of the shard's body cracked and fell to the floor. The small pip creatures, the ones that looked like rabbits, were the fastest to react. They didn't say anything. They just ran. Their tiny legs carried them out of the room in a blur of fur. Heard their squeaking echoes down the corridor. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed in the ceiling. A calm, automated voice filled the room. Biological hazard detected. Level 7. All personnel evacuate immediately. Sealing affected area in 30 seconds. Stood in the center of the room, holding his lunch container like it was a bomb, which, apparently, everyone thought it was. "Wait," he shouted. "This is a mistake, it's just kimchi." The doors at the far end of the room began sliding shut. Heavy metal panels descended from the ceiling. Ran for the nearest exit, but it was already half closed. He slid through just as it sealed behind him with a heavy clang. He found himself in a corridor filled with fleeing aliens and flashing emergency lights. No one stopped. They all rushed past him, moving away as fast as they could. Some were making sounds of distress. Others were leaving trails of protective fluids behind them. His communicator buzzed. He fumbled it out of his pocket, still holding the lunch container in his other hand. Ambassador's face appeared on the screen. He looked angry and confused and worried all at once. "What did you do? The entire diplomatic wing is evacuating. They're saying there's a chemical weapon attack." "I didn't do anything," said. "I just opened my lunch." There was a pause. His expression went from angry to disbelieving. What?" "My lunch, my mom packed it. It's just kimchi and some dried squid. I was hungry." Another pause, longer this time, could hear taking deep breaths. "Listen to me very carefully. Where are you right now?" In the corridor outside the diplomatic commons. Everyone ran away. They sealed the room. "Is the container still open?" Looked down at his hand. "Yes." "Close it right now. Put it in a bag if you have one. Then go directly to the human quarters. Do not stop. Do not talk to anyone. Go now." Sealed the container quickly. The smell faded, but it was too late. The damage was done. He shoved the container into his bag and started walking quickly toward the human section of the station. Station security met him halfway. 2 guards in full environmental suits, the kind used for handling toxic materials. They were human, thank God, but they looked at him like he was carrying a live grenade. "Sir, we need you to come with us," one of them said. Their voice was muffled through the suit speaker. "It's just food," said weakly. "Sir, please hand over the biological material and come with us." They escorted him to a decontamination room. He had to strip and shower with chemicals that stung his skin. They took his bag, including his lunch, and sealed it in a clear containment box. Through the transparent wall, he could see scientists in hazard suits examining the kimchi like it was alien technology. An hour later, he sat in a small room wearing a paper gown. The door opened and entered, along with a stern-looking woman in a station administrator's uniform. "Mister," the woman said, "I am administrator. Do you understand the severity of what happened?" "I ate lunch," said, "or tried to." "You released an unregistered biological agent in a shared common area. You triggered a level 7 biological hazard response. 3 delegates are in medical care, is in critical condition. Their respiratory system shut down. The shard delegate will need 3 weeks to regenerate the piece they lost." Felt his stomach sink. "I didn't know, I thought, it's just food. We eat it all the time on Earth." The administrator pulled up a holographic display. "Our sensors detected the following in your food. Capsaicin levels sufficient to incapacitate 73% of coalition species. Active bacterial cultures consistent with biological warfare agents. Decomposition compounds that trigger emergency responses in 91% of known species. Volatile organic compounds at concentrations considered lethal." "It's fermented vegetables," said, "and some spices, that's all." put a hand on his shoulder. Administrator Mr. had no malicious intent. Humans genuinely eat this kind of food. It's part of our culture. Then your culture is a biological hazard, the administrator said flatly. She turned to, "You are confined to human quarters pending investigation. The Coalition Science Council will analyze your food. If they determine it was a weapon, you will face trial." "And if they determine it's actually food?" asked. The administrator looked uncomfortable. "Then we have a much bigger problem." Spent the rest of the day in his quarters. News of the incident spread fast. His communicator was flooded with messages, some from other human staff asking if he was okay, some from Earth, his family worried about the reports, and some from coalition members demanding explanations. That evening visited him. The ambassador looked tired. "How bad is it?" asked. "Bad, survived, but they're traumatized. They think you tried to kill them. Several species are calling for humanity's expulsion from the coalition. Others want us classified as a hazard species. Because of kimchi. Because of what kimchi represents." Sat down heavily. "We knew integration would be difficult, but we thought the challenges would be political or cultural. We didn't expect this. What happens now? The Science Council will present their findings tomorrow. Then the coalition will decide what to do about humans and our apparently weaponized food." Looked at the cooling unit, where the rest of his Earth food was stored. Suddenly, his mother's care packages looked less like comfort from home and more like evidence in a criminal case. He said quietly, "What if they're right? What if we are dangerous?" The ambassador smiled sadly. "Then we're going to have a very interesting conversation about what it means to be human." The Coalition Science Council chamber was designed to be intimidating. The ceiling stretched high above, making everyone below feel small. Sat at a small table in the center of the room with beside him. Around them, in a wide circle, sat representatives from dozens of alien species. Each one watched him with their various types of eyes. A holographic display floated in the air, showing rotating images of lunch. The kimchi looked sinister when analyzed. The red color seemed more threatening. The bacterial cultures moved in the display like tiny armies. Lead counselor, a tall being with too many joints in their arms, spoke first. Their voice was deep and echoing. "We have completed analysis of the substance. Our findings are disturbing." The display changed, showing columns of data. Couldn't understand most of it, but he saw the words toxin, pathogen, and lethal repeated many times. "The substance contains live bacterial cultures," continued. "Specifically, lactobacillus species that are actively consuming and breaking down organic material. This process creates acid and gases. In most coalition species, exposure to these bacteria would cause severe illness or death." A scientist in a white environmental suit stepped forward. They were human. Dr. Bo Lee, according to her name tag. She looked nervous but determined. "Counselor, may I speak?" she asked. Gestured permission. "Thank you, I'm specializing in human physiology. I'd like to provide context for these findings." Bo activated her own display. "What Mr. brought to the station is called kimchi. It's a traditional food from Korea, a region on Earth. The bacterial cultures you detected aren't pathogens. They're deliberately cultivated. Humans call this process fermentation." Several council members made sounds of confusion or disgust. "Fermentation," Bo continued, "is a way to preserve food. Humans discovered it thousands of years ago. We use bacteria to break down food in controlled ways. This makes the food last longer and to humans taste better." "You deliberately introduced decay organisms?" asked. "Why?" "Because Earth is a harsh world. Our ancestors needed ways to keep food from spoiling. So we learned to spoil it in a controlled way. The good bacteria keep the bad bacteria away." "This is insane," said Ambassador, their skin still showing stress colors. You eat rotting food on purpose. Bo nodded. We eat many fermented foods, cheese, which is fermented milk, bread, which uses fermented grain, yogurt, soy sauce, wine, beer, pickles. These are all common human foods. The chamber erupted in shocked noises. Various translators struggled to keep up. Raised a hand for silence. You said Earth is harsh. Explain. Bo took a deep breath. Earth is classified as a Class 12 on the Coalition's habitability scale. Our planet has extreme temperature variations, powerful storms, tectonic activity, aggressive predators, toxic plants, and thousands of species of bacteria and viruses constantly trying to infect us. How do humans survive such a place? Asked a PIP delegate, their tiny voice amplified by speakers. We adapted, Bo said. Our immune systems are incredibly aggressive. We're in constant war with microscopic organisms inside our own bodies. We have to be. Earth doesn't allow weakness. She pulled up images of Earth's creatures. Lions, bears, sharks, snakes, then plants, poison ivy, deadly nightshade, poisonous mushrooms. Everything on Earth is trying to kill everything else, Bo said. Humans are at the top of the food chain because we're the best at not dying. We developed tool use, intelligence, cooperation, but we also developed incredible physical resilience. Leaned forward. The capsaicin in the subject's food. Our analysis shows it would cause respiratory failure in most species. How can humans consume it? Capsaicin is a defense chemical produced by plants called peppers. They evolved it to keep animals from eating them. It causes pain by triggering heat receptors. But humans, Bo smiled slightly. Humans decided we liked that pain. We started eating peppers deliberately. Over generations, we built up tolerance. Now we eat them for pleasure. Pleasure? The Shard delegate's voice vibrated with confusion. You enjoy chemical weapons. We do, Bo said. We even compete to see who can eat the strongest ones. There are festivals, contests. We made a recreational activity out of something that should hospitalize us. Watched the council members react. Some looked horrified. Some looked fascinated. Still weak and recovering at the back of the chamber, had their antennae folded flat against their head. Stood, Dr. Lee, are you saying that humans are inherently dangerous? That your species is incompatible with civilized society? No, Bo said firmly. I'm saying we're different. Humans evolved on a world that demanded certain adaptations. Yes, we eat things that would kill most species. Yes, our immune systems are aggressive. Yes, we have high pain tolerance and unusual food preservation methods. But that doesn't make us violent or dangerous. It makes us survivors. Can you guarantee, asked, that humans won't bring more of these biological hazards into coalition spaces? Before Bo could answer, stood. Counselor, may I address the council? Nodded. Walked to the center of the chamber. I've been working with coalition species for 10 years. I've seen how different we all are. The Shard delegates breathe methane, which is explosive to oxygen breathers. The species produces pheromones that cause hallucinations in mammals. Species secretes defensive toxins that can melt metal. Every species has something that's dangerous to others. Those are natural biological functions, said, not deliberately weaponized substances. Neither is our food, replied. What happened was an accident. Mister didn't know that our normal food would cause such a reaction. We didn't know because we're new here. We're still learning. But isn't that the point of the coalition? To learn from each other. The chamber was quiet. Saw some council members nodding. Others looked uncertain. I propose a compromise, continued. We will establish strict protocols for human food in common areas. We will educate all human staff about the sensitivities of other species. We will create designated areas where humans can eat their traditional foods without affecting others. And in return, the coalition helps us understand what's safe to share. And the existing food Mr. brought, asked. Secured in containment. We'll keep it there or dispose of it properly. Consulted with the other council members. There was much discussion, some of it heated. Finally, turned back to face them. The council accepts your proposal, Ambassador Park. However, we require a full briefing on human dietary practices. We need to understand the extent of this issue. If there are other surprises, we must know now. Nodded, we can arrange that. Good, this hearing is concluded. Mister, you are cleared of intentional misconduct, but you are required to attend the briefing and to follow all new protocols regarding food handling. Stood, I understand, counselor, and I'm sorry for what happened. I never meant to hurt anyone. We believe that, said, their voice softening slightly. But understand, mister, that your people are unlike anything most of us have encountered. Your world made you into something remarkable, but remarkable can also be frightening. As they left the chamber, felt exhausted. He'd been cleared, but the cost was high. Now everyone knew that humans were strange, dangerous, even if unintentionally. Well, said as they walked back to the human quarters, that went better than expected. Really? Asked. They didn't expel us from the coalition. I count that as a win. Bo caught up with them in the corridor. Ambassador, about that briefing, when should we schedule it? Checked his schedule. 3 days, that gives us time to prepare. Bo, I want you to put together a comprehensive presentation. Every type of human food that might cause problems, every adaptation that might seem threatening, everything. That's going to be a long presentation, Bo said. I know, replied. But if we're going to be part of this coalition, they need to understand us, really understand us. Not just the diplomatic face we show, but the truth about what humans are. They reached the human quarters. As entered his room, he looked back at Bo. Do you think they'll ever accept us? Really accept us, I mean. Smiled, I don't know, but we're going to give them every chance to try. The observation chamber was designed for dangerous experiments. Triple-layered transparent walls separated the inner chamber from the viewing area. Air filtration systems could scrub the atmosphere clean in seconds. Emergency protocols could seal the chamber and flood it with neutralizing agents if needed. Inside the chamber, a simple table held various containers of human food. Outside, every seat in the viewing area was filled with alien delegates. They had come from across the station to witness this demonstration. Some were curious. Most were nervous. All of them were watching carefully. Stood in the chamber with Bo and a new arrival song was a security officer from Earth, built like a mountain and calm as stone. He'd been pulled from a transport ship specifically for this demonstration. His voice came through the speakers from the control room. We're ready when you are, Dr. Lee. Bo stepped forward. She wore a simple white uniform and carried a... Despite the crowd watching her, she looked confident. Thank you all for attending, she began. Today we'll demonstrate typical human dietary practices. I want to emphasize that everything you're about to see is normal for humans. We do this every day, multiple times a day, without harm. She gestured too. Mister has volunteered to show you a typical human day of eating, whenever you're ready. Approached the table. The first container held breakfast foods. He picked up a small bowl. This is, he said, speaking clearly so the translators could catch every word. It's fermented soybeans. Humans eat it for breakfast in Japan, another Earth region. He opened the container. The smell was immediate even through the chamber's filtration. In the viewing area, several aliens recoiled. There was sticky, covered in long strands of slime. It looked like something alive. Picked up some with chopsticks and ate it, chewed, swallowed. The texture is slimy, he explained. The taste is strong. Some humans don't like it, but many do. It's very healthy. Bo pulled up data on her display. Contains bacillus bacteria, live bacteria. Mister just consumed approximately 1 billion bacterial cells. Those bacteria are now in his digestive system. where they'll compete with the trillions of other bacteria already there. His digestive system is full of bacteria, asked a PIP delegate, sounding faint. Yes, Bo said. Humans have between 1 and 10 trillion bacterial cells in their digestive tract at any given time. We need them. They help us digest food and produce vitamins. Without them, we'd die. The viewing area filled with shocked murmurs. Move to the next container. This is kimchi, the food that caused the incident. He opened it carefully. The red cabbage looked aggressive even sitting still. It's fermented cabbage with red pepper powder and other spices. He ate a piece. It's spicy, sour, crunchy, delicious. The red color comes from Korean red pepper powder, Bo explained. It contains high concentrations of capsaicin. Mr. just consumed enough capsaicin to incapacitate most coalition species. To him, it's just pleasantly spicy. Next was dried squid, then fermented fish sauce, then aged cheese that made several aliens evacuate the viewing area. With each food, ate normally while Bo explained the chemistry and biology behind it. Now for lunch, said. He opened a larger container. Steam rose from hot. The fermented soybean stew was thick and bubbling. He ate a spoonful. This has been fermenting for months. The longer it ferments, the stronger the flavor. This one is pretty mild, actually. Mild, repeated through the speakers. That substance is reading as a Class 4 biohazard. To you, Bo said. To humans, it's comfort food. She pulled up more data. Human stomach acid has a pH of 1.5 to 3.5. That's strong enough to dissolve metal. We need that level of acidity to kill the bacteria in our food and break down the tough organic materials we eat. Most coalition species have much milder digestive systems. Stepped forward for the next part. He'd been standing quietly, but now he approached a different table. On it was an array of fresh peppers. I'm going to demonstrate human tolerance to what you call chemical weapons, said. His voice was deep and calm. These are various types of peppers from Earth, ranging from mild to extreme. He picked up a green pepper. This is a mild by human standards. He bit into it like it was an apple, chewed, swallowed. A little spicy, nice flavor. The aliens watched in silence. Picked up a red pepper. This is a cayenne pepper, medium heat. He ate it the same way. His expression didn't change. Ghost pepper, he said, holding up a smaller, wrinkled pepper. Very hot. This one actually hurts. He ate it. This time his face did change slightly. His eyes watered. He breathed out slowly. Yeah, that's spicy. Mr. Song just consumed a concentration of capsaicin that would cause respiratory arrest in 89% of known species, Bo said. To him, it's uncomfortable but not dangerous. His body is already processing the chemical and neutralizing it. Humans enjoy pain, the Shard delegate asked. In controlled amounts, yes, Bo said. We seek out experiences that trigger our pain responses because they also trigger pleasure chemicals in our brains. Spicy food, extreme temperatures, physical challenges. We've turned survival responses into entertainment. Move to another demonstration. Dr. Lee asked me to show you normal human physical capabilities. I'm going to do some basic exercises. He dropped to the floor and started doing push-ups. 50 of them, steady and controlled, then sit-ups. Then he pulled himself up on a bar mounted in the chamber, his body rising and falling with mechanical precision. In the viewing area, aliens watched with growing concern. What was doing was normal for a fit human, but to species that had evolved on gentler worlds, it looked like a show of terrifying strength. Mr. Song's body can repair itself from significant damage, Bo explained. Broken bones heal, torn muscles regenerate. Even organs can recover from injury that would kill most species. Humans have redundant organs and backup systems. We're designed to survive trauma. Stopped exercising and picked up a water bottle. He drank deeply, then looked at the viewing area. I'm not trying to scare anyone. This is just normal for us. Where we come from, you need to be tough to survive. Bo pulled up images of Earth. Not the pretty ones used in diplomatic presentations, but real images. Hurricanes, volcanoes, predators with massive teeth, tsunamis, earthquakes. Earth is in constant flux, she said. Our planet doesn't stay stable, continents move, climate changes, species go extinct regularly. Humans survived by being adaptable, resilient, and willing to eat almost anything. She showed images of humans in different environments: desert, Arctic, ocean, mountains. We live everywhere on our planet, from the hottest deserts to the frozen poles. We eat local food wherever we go: fish, meat, plants, insects. We've learned to process and consume thousands of different species. Your omnivores said, that much we knew. We're extreme omnivores, Bo corrected. We can digest things most species can't. Our bodies break down toxins. We have enzymes that handle alkaloids, glycosides, and tannins. Plants that evolved chemical defenses against being eaten. We learned to eat anyway. Stepped forward again. I want to add something. I know this all sounds scary. I know we seem dangerous. But humans are also capable of great gentleness. We create art, music, stories. We form deep emotional bonds. We care for our children for years, teaching them not just to survive, but to be kind. He picked up the container of kimchi again. My mother made this for me. She spent hours preparing it because she loves me and wanted me to have a taste of home while I was far away. That's what this food means to humans. It's not a weapon. It's love. The chamber was quiet. Could see aliens in the viewing area looking at each other, processing what they'd witnessed. Wu Han, a cultural who had arrived with, spoke through the intercom. May I add something? Please, said. In human culture, sharing food is how we show affection and build relationships. When we offer food to someone, we're saying, I care about you. I want you to survive. Let me help you. The fact that our food is dangerous to you is a tragedy because it means we can't share one of our most important bonding rituals. His voice came through the speakers, weak but clear. You truly meant no harm. The food you brought was meant as friendship. Yes, said. I'm so sorry it hurt you. I understand now, said. Your world made you into weapons, but you chose to be friends. The presentation ended. As the humans left the chamber, they could hear intense discussions in the viewing area. Some aliens wanted humans classified as too dangerous. Others were arguing for understanding. Well, said quietly, at least now they know the truth. Yeah, replied. Now they know exactly how strange we are. The Coalition Council chamber was more crowded than had ever seen it. Representatives from every member species filled the seats. Some had traveled from distant stations just for this vote. The question before them was simple but profound. Should humanity remain in the Galactic Coalition? Sat in the human delegation section with Bo and Wu. They'd done everything they could. Now they could only wait. Counselor stood at the center of the chamber. The debate has lasted 3 days. We have heard arguments from all sides. Now we vote. Species in favor of expelling humanity from the coalition indicate now. Lights appeared on the holographic display. Each light represented a species voting yes. Watch them accumulate, his heart sinking. 20 lights, 30, 40. Species opposed to expulsion indicate now. More lights, different colors. They came slower at first, then faster. 50, 60, 70. Species abstaining from the vote indicate now. A handful of lights in neutral gray. Studied the results. The motion to expel humanity has failed. Humanity remains in the coalition. Felt relief flood through him, but wasn't finished. However, the council has serious concerns. A proposal has been made to create a new classification for species like humanity. Species from extreme environments who pose unintentional hazards to others. This classification would come with restrictions and requirements. Ambassador stood, their skin showing diplomatic blue colors. I wish to speak. Proceed. 3 days ago, I believed humans were dangerous. I demanded their removal. But I've spent these days reviewing their history, their culture, their achievements, and I've realized something. Every species in this chamber comes from a world that shaped them. My people evolved in warm, shallow oceans. We're adapted for peace and cooperation. We've never known real hardship. Skin shifted through several colors. Humans come from a world that tried to kill them every day. They survived by becoming tough, adaptable, and innovative. Their food seems like weapons to us because on their world everything is a weapon. But they didn't let that make them cruel. They chose to reach for the stars. They chose to seek us out. They chose peace. Turn to face the human delegation. I was wrong to fear you. Yes, your lunch nearly killed me. Yes, your world is terrifying. But you came here with open hands and open hearts. That takes more courage than surviving a. Stood next, still moving carefully. I also wish to speak. When the humans' food filled the air, I thought I was dying. Every instinct told me to flee, and I did. But afterward, when I learned the truth, I was ashamed. Not of my fear, but of my assumptions. The insect being's antennae waved slowly. I've spent these days reading human literature. Do you know what I found? Stories of mothers feeding their children, of friends sharing meals, of strangers offering food to the hungry. Food is sacred to them. And the human who frightened me, he was performing a sacred act. He was feeding himself with love from his mother. His voice grew stronger. I've also learned that humans are terrified of my species. They have insects on their world and many humans fear them deeply. Yet the human never showed fear when meeting me. He was respectful and kind. He offered friendship despite his own instincts. Should I not do the same? More species began standing, wanting to speak. The shard delegate's voice vibrated through the chamber. Humans are strange, dangerous, incomprehensible in many ways, but consider what they've already contributed to our coalition. In 10 years of contact, they've shared medical techniques we never imagined. Their experience surviving diseases gave them knowledge we lacked. They've solved engineering problems we couldn't. Their art and music have enriched our culture. We have a choice, the shard continued. We can focus on what makes humans different and dangerous, or we can embrace what they bring to our community. I vote we embrace them. But not everyone agreed. A delegate from the union stood. This is foolishness. Humans are creatures. Today it's fermented vegetables. Tomorrow it could be biological weapons. We're letting predators into our home. We're already predators, said quietly. Glanced at him in surprise. Rarely spoke in official meetings. Heard him, the human security officer wishes to speak. Permission granted. Stood and walked to the speaker's position. He looked uncomfortable being the center of attention. I'm not a diplomat. I'm a soldier. My job is to identify threats and eliminate them, so I know what real danger looks like. He looked around the chamber. Half the species here have natural defenses that could kill humans. Toxins, claws, acidic blood, chemical weapons. You're all potentially dangerous. But you chose to build a coalition based on cooperation instead of conflict. That's what civilization is, choosing to be better than your nature. Humans are no different, continued. Yes, we're tough. Yes, we eat things that scare you. But we also write poetry. We paint pictures. We sing songs. We build schools to teach our children not just to survive, but to be kind. We made it to space not because we wanted to conquer, but because we wanted to meet you. He sat back down. The chamber was silent. Finally, spoke again. The Council has reached a decision. Humanity will remain in the coalition. However, new protocols will be established. Human dietary materials will be restricted to designated areas. Warning systems will alert other species when humans are consuming their traditional foods. Humans will receive training on coalition species sensitivities. Additionally, continued, we are establishing a new classification, Class D species. This applies to species from extreme environments who may pose unintentional hazards. Humans are the first species to receive this classification. It comes with both restrictions and privileges. You will have access to resources for adaptation assistance. You will have designated spaces where you can maintain your cultural practices safely. Stood, the human delegation accepts these terms. We're grateful for the coalition's patience and understanding. There is one more matter, said. Mister, please approach. His heart hammered as he walked to the center of the chamber. Had he done something else wrong? Looked at him with their strange, multi-jointed neck. Mister, your actions sparked this crisis. Your lunch caused injury and panic, but it also forced us to confront our assumptions about humanity. You became a catalyst for understanding. The Council wishes to honor you with a designation. From this day forward, you are named Friend Builder between species. It is the highest honor the Coalition can give to a diplomat. You will serve as a liaison, helping your species and ours navigate our differences. Stood speechless. Finally, he found his voice. I just wanted to eat lunch. The chamber filled with sounds. It took a moment to realize the aliens were laughing. Different species made different sounds, but the meaning was clear. Laughter, shared amusement at the absurdity of it all. Sometimes, said, the smallest actions have the largest consequences. Will you accept this designation? I will, said, and I promise to do better than last time. More laughter. As returned to his seat, he felt something he hadn't felt in days. Hope. 3 months later, Station Meridian had changed. Human-specific dining facilities had been built. Warning signs in multiple languages marked areas where humans consumed their traditional foods. But something else had changed too. Understanding had become one of his closest friends. They met regularly, though never during meal times. They discussed philosophy, culture, and the strangeness of existence. Was writing a book about human culture. Was helping as a consultant. Started a cultural exchange program. Brave aliens could try extremely mild human foods under medical supervision. A few had even developed a taste for lightly seasoned bread. It was a start. The Shard delegate commissioned a human artist to create a sculpture for their home world. The collaboration was challenging but beautiful. Today sat in the diplomatic commons again. He'd brought his lunch, but this time in a sealed container marked with warning symbols. Around him, other aliens worked on their own projects. They'd learned to coexist. Approached, carefully staying upwind. I have a question about human food. Sure, said, what do you want to know? This beverage called coffee, other humans speak of it with reverence. They say they cannot function without it. Is this another chemical weapon? Laughed. Oh, coffee is special. It's a stimulant drug that humans consume multiple times per day. We're basically all addicted to it. Santini drooped. Of course you are. Why did I expect anything else? Want to know something funny? Chocolate is poisonous to many Earth animals. We eat it anyway. It makes us happy. Humans are exhausting, said, but their translator caught the fondness in their tone. Welcome to Earth culture, replied. It only gets weirder from here. As the station spun slowly through space, humans and aliens continued their careful dance of understanding. There would be more incidents, more misunderstandings, more moments of fear and confusion, but there would also be friendship, cooperation, and growth. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans were strange. Their food was dangerous. Their world had made them into something fierce and resilient, but they'd chosen to use that strength for peace. They'd chosen to reach out instead of lash out. They'd chosen to share their fermented vegetables as offerings of friendship, even if those offerings nearly killed everyone nearby. And somehow, impossibly, it was working. Opened his lunch container carefully, the seal breaking with a soft hiss. The familiar smell of home filled his personal dining pod. Kimchi, made by his mother, carried across light years. A reminder that no matter how far humans traveled, some things stayed the same. He picked up his chopsticks and began to eat. Outside the pod, through the transparent wall, he could see aliens passing by. Some glanced at him with curiosity, some with residual nervousness, but none with hostility. They'd learned, all of them, and that was worth more than any trade agreement or diplomatic treaty. That was the real victory, not tolerance but understanding, not acceptance despite differences but because of them. Smiled and took another bite of his dangerous, fermented, absolutely delicious lunch. In the end, that was what being human meant, taking what should kill you and turning it into something worth living for. The galaxy was a strange place, but humans were stranger, and that was okay.